So we speak of dreamscapes and dreams. And sometimes to understand it, we liken it to a night dream. So I have a dream of a bull with a shiny nose and a ring, and he's trying to get after me with a curled up in a ball, and I'm spinning, and the bull's gonna get me, and a kindly farmer comes by and gives him some alfalfa hay, and the bull goes away. The bull's happy with something other than me. But I don't say to Lonnie, I had this dream, and describe it to her. And she say to me, I had that same dream last night. Nobody ever does. But we're likening this world to a common dream, and so she and I can stand by the ocean and see the same beautiful ocean.
Yes, right.
How does that work? My question is...
I don't know.
I don't either. My question is, how can we all share the same conscious dream of what this world is?
I don't know.
I invented this world.
I would not say that.
Oh, you don't?
It's not my experience.
Okay, well, I guess...
let me try to offer you something.
No, let me speak right over you.
Well...
Just kidding.
For a second, I was wondering if the seat could move back a little bit.
I was too. I got to take off my glasses. My eyes are running. Okay. Did I ask the question?
Yeah, I believe you did. If I answer and it doesn't feel like it's right, you can just wrestle me to the ground.
Oh, it feels so good to laugh so hard.
Yeah. Okay. So, let's just play a little game, okay? Let's pretend you're dreaming. Okay, you're dreaming now.
Okay.
And inside this dream, the theme character is you the way it always is. And there are all these other characters. One of them is Lonnie. And in this dream, you can go with Lonnie to the ocean and ask her if she's sharing in this dream. And she can tell you, yes, she is, because you're in your dream. Now, part of this dream has the experience of this thing the mind creates called day after day. But that's all part of the dream. Now, the idea of using this analogy is never an attempt to convince. Convincing is the last thing that is desired. It's to look and see. It is always an offer for self-discovery. Now, what it's possible to recognize when there is internal investigation as opposed to following the external movement is that every form of discomfort, every problem that is experienced inside of you. If you do not have a problem inside, you do not have a problem. The mind will say that it is due to something out there, but where you experience the problem is inside. Another thing that you will discover is that these problems follow a pattern. It's always about one or two or maybe three things that are very old that keep cycling around again and again and again. The mind will tell you it's coincidence, and yet different players come in and play the roles to set off the same thing. Now, what begins to happen if you stop following the habit of the mind, always moving away from what is inside into the outside, which seems real, it doesn't seem like a dream inside of it, it will always carry the attention away from what is really going on. But if this habit is not followed, what occurs is what arises inside is finally met. And when it is met, some protective armor begins to dissolve. Something positive comes out of what the mind saw as negative. When that happens, this armoring that created the experience of this being real, the experience of me being separate, being a real being, that armoring begins to melt, and there begins to be a taste of a continuity. There begins to be a seeing that what's happening out there is just reflecting what is going on in here. That it's a continuum. It's not broken into separate pieces. And then the trust begins to root itself. And it begins to be felt how everything out there is coming from in here. And it's just repeating itself with what look to be different players. And all of those players are playing roles that started from an initial imprint. Mommy and daddy, siblings, very early life things that got broken up and protected and lodged in here. And it seems like these are separate beings who are making separate choices, and they're all real and they're all independent, and yet by coincidence, they're always doing the very same things which bring up these same things that are broken inside of me from this initial imprint that happened very young in life. What begins to be seen is they are all reflecting that initial imprint. Everybody that seems like this autonomous separate thing, which begins with this autonomous separate thing, which was created by this shell that is now breaking apart, and now it begins to feel itself everywhere. Now the armoring begins to fall apart. What begins to be felt is that everything is symbolic, that everything is you. Everything was you when you first came in, but as soon as there was discomfort, as soon as there was clashing of energies, there was the building of the shell, which created, I am separate from mommy and I am separate from daddy. But it was the dynamics that created the experience of discomfort, that created the protection, that created what the mind says is you, this separate person. Now, when you have a dream at night, all of the players, after you awaken, are realized to be aspects of you. While you're in the dream, there is no knowing of that whatsoever. When you wake up, and you are not experiencing it through the five senses of that character, but you experience it from a global view, then all of the offering and the wisdom and the teaching in that dream is yours, and it is insight, it is a roadmap. It's a roadmap into things that you could not see. And as the shell starts to break apart, this becomes experienced exactly the same. As the sense of being contained inside this little thing starts to break apart and you start to feel what is called the subject, what is aware of all of the objects moving around, you begin to feel what is moving that, and you begin to feel what is unmoving. And what is unmoving perceives all of the movement as this offering of God, as God's dream to unravel what created the experience of someone. You begin to recognize that your nature is eternal, it's not temporary. You begin to taste a state that you feel yourself as the same, whether your body is in deep dreamless sleep, whether you are dreaming, or whether you are in the waking state.
That was great.
I do my best under pressure.
Thank you.
Yes, you are very welcome. So carrying it all the way through in this experience, outside the box, this, just like that, the experience is a dream. The recognition is there's nobody there. Where it is all coming from cannot be found. You know, it is impossible to witness the arising of a dream out of nothing. As soon as the dream happens, you're there, but it is impossible to witness the dream manifesting out of nothing. And the reason why it is impossible is because something cannot come out of nothing. Physics has shown that only nothing can come out of nothing. A dream is not something, it appears to be something. When there is the breaking out of this habit, of this contraction, everything that appears, it is felt how it is all appearing. It is felt like it is appearing just like a dream. And if you carry it back to where it is coming from, immediately the dream ends and there is the taste of nothing. But the taste of nothing is not the mind's idea of what nothing is. That is what brought up initial fear. It is mind's idea of what God is. It is not even that, but that's closer. So much more than the mind's interpretation of anything. So there is something aware of the mind's movements. There's something aware that the head is shaking, that the body changed position, something aware of the breath, that the heart is beating, but you cannot find it. Yes, and what is looking to find it is arising out of what the mind calls you. But if not for this awareness of all of that, it would not be perceived. You could say that what is aware of this is not a player in the dream, but what is aware of the dream. From that perspective, from what is aware of the breath, of the beating of the heart, of the players in this room, everything that is appearing within it. If the attention remains in that, the movements that happen are recognized to be arising out of nowhere. And then the symbolism of the offering becomes a moment-to-moment teaching that is always bringing something closer to home.
I see people do that, and I see why they do. It's like I can't stop.